Money in society is a very important thing. Without money, nothing works, at least as far as we have grown in the last 2,500 years since the invention of coinage. We actually have lost the wherewithal to do anything without money. It's our counting system, it's the way we exchange things. Now, the earliest money was metal. Once metal came into the picture, and that was actually a byproduct of ceramics, this discovery of metal this time, the rediscovery of metal, let us say. Because malachite and azurite and other copper oxides were used in powder form as glazes on pottery. Yummy. Anyway, those people didn't live very long back then anyway. And of course, then little droplets of copper would be found in the bottom of the ceramic kilns, and that's how smelting of metal that brought about the Chalcolithic period, which didn't last long. That's the copper period. It quickly became the Bronze Age because most copper is found with at least arsenic in it, and to say Chalcolithic or Copper Age is rather a misnomer. It was probably always pretty much the Bronze Age because bronze is copper with anything mixed in it. And to mix things with copper is good because it makes it harder. Tin mixed with copper makes true bronze, and that's probably what archaeologists or the learned types, the so-called learned types, refer to as the Bronze Ages, when tin entered the picture as becoming an alloy with copper to become bronze. Anyway, money is both a bane and a boon. And before money, it was basically barter. And barter worked, but it was cumbersome because there was no way of keeping track of it in any material sense. You could say, I owe you, or they could say they owed you, and blah, blah, blah. But it was pretty much based on, it was higgledy-piggledy, willy-nilly, based on someone else's word. And if you trusted them and they were trustworthy, and you were trustworthy, why, that worked just fine. But there's always types of people who are not trustworthy or who want to scam. And I mean, Wall Street's full of them. They're still here. They're just everywhere. They're in the government. The government is ate up with these kind of people. There's probably about 10 good people in American government. The rest are all just money scammers and Jesus freaks. God help us. Anyway, back to the story. Money is necessary, but it's not called currency for no reason. It's called currency for a reason, and that's because it's the current means of exchange. Early money was ingots in various forms, copper or bronze, and gold and silver in various forms. A lot of times jewelry was actually money. A lot of times chains were made with larger links so that a link could be unfastened from a chain and used as currency, as X number of whatever the medium of exchange was at that time. For instance, one of the first monetary ingot forms of currency were these large copper ingots cast in the shape of cowhide, and each one represented a cow. And in the beginning, each ingot was worth a cow, and that made for a very large ingot. And they find them to this day. They're about the size of a table sometimes, and maybe those were 10 cows, but whatever. Then the Romans invented probably the first close to paper money. They called it the pecunia, and that's still alive today in our word pecuniary. The pecunia was a leather piece shaped like a cowhide that meant one copper ingot, which meant one cow. And this is how they paid for their cows and swapped their cows. And cows were always wealth. Cows were the original money among the upper echelon, the rich. Okay, because cows, supply food and good food, milk and cheese, butter, cream, things like that. The meat is really a barbaric aspect of the beast. The hide was very valuable for many things, clothing and armor and shoes and things like that. But the meat was just actually a delicacy, and I don't think that the people back then, the Romans considered anyone who ate meat to be barbarians. That's what they called people who ate meat. Anyway, Money can be a lot more and a lot less than it is today. Um, the internet is here. That is the ultimate currency. You cannot get more current than this. Barter could and should supplant a lot of the money in the world today, which is um, actually being used to do away with a lot of the people's rights. Because if you're spending a lot of this world cash, you're implying consent to um, rewritten laws. And they don't tell you this. Just like they don't tell you when you go to court anymore in America that it's your job to judge the law as well as this particular case. If someone mentions that to you, say one of the lawyers, they'll be found in contempt of court. That's because these courts are British courts here in America. They're no longer American. These courts is maritime law, which is copyrighted code, which is not constitutional at all. And so the jury has been finally almost undone here, and so have your rights and other aspects of your American birthright, because these people have come in and taken over your money, and then just by spending your money, which is here when you're born, and no one ever tells you this because they quit telling people this generations ago, that you're actually utilizing a benefit. Your currency is a right according to the Constitution, but it's been rewritten so that it is a benefit. And once you partake of this benefit, then it's okay to tax you. It's okay to rewrite your laws. It's okay to do all the things that they do. Send you to war. Send your children to war, and you don't have any recourse unless you realize what's going on and demand your constitutional rights. So it's time to do all that. It's time to change the money. It's time to get real again. I'm telling you one thing right now. You're going to have to do it. There's no way around it. This is the only thing that's going to work here very soon. So it's time to wake up.